Hello, my name is John Matthews, and in the next few minutes I wanted to talk to you a little bit about the Rotary Foundation. For those of you who may be new to Rotary or less familiar with who Rotarians are, let me begin by explaining that Rotarians and Rotary in general is a service organization worldwide. Today we have 1.2 million men and women serving around the world in over 180 geographic locations. It's through their service that we are able to increase international understanding, goodwill, and do things which eventually lead towards peace. Rotarians work hard in a number of ways to help support things in villages around the world, and their work each day is what helps us spread the word of goodwill and peace. One of the principal tools that Rotary has at work today is the Rotary Foundation. This is an organization within Rotary to which Rotarians and others contribute to each year, and those dollars are put to work in a variety of ways. In the next few minutes, I want to explain to you how that works. Pretty much everything that you'll hear about the Rotary Foundation can fit into one of three buckets. The first is the polio what we call Polio Plus. The second is our annual fund. And the third is our permanent fund. We'll take a few minutes to talk about each one. Let's start with polio. When Rotarians put money into the Polio Plus campaign, it's only used for that purpose. This part of the foundation is actually separate from most other parts of the Rotary Foundation. It is so separate, in fact, that it has its own investment policy. While many of us were experiencing economic difficulties in the last couple of years in the marketplace, Polio Plus didn't lose a cent. They were invested conservatively, and their intent is to take whatever dollars come in and put them to stopping the spread of polio. So it's a singular purpose here. Next, let's talk about our permanent fund. Our permanent fund is the endowment portion of the foundation. And in this case, the gifts that we give are never spent, only the interest from these gifts. Today, we have assets of about $630 million. Now, it's not all in cash. In fact, about 180 million of that is in cash. And that's earning interest every year. And that interest gets put towards programs of the foundation. So each year, this is contributing $10 to $15 million towards matching grants, ambassadorial scholarships, group study exchanges, and all of the incredible things that our foundation does. The remaining $450 million here are what we call expectancies. These are gifts that Rotarians have pledged and made a part of their estates so that when they're no longer around, their estate will transfer that money from an expectancy to cash, and then that will start earning money. What's magic about this part of the Rotary Foundation is that the gifts that we put into here are there in perpetuity. They're never spent. Mary Ellen and I have made our own gift to the permanent fund. In our estate plans, we have a pledge to contribute into the permanent fund. And when we're no longer here and can't make contributions every year, we know that our gift will be there forever, building wells, providing literacy solutions for schools, helping people around the world forever. And that's one of the neat things about the foundation. Now let's move into the annual fund. And this is what we spend most of our time talking about year in and year out. In fact, when we do a campaign in our clubs every year, we're trying to raise money into the annual fund. Sometimes we hear the title, Every Rotarian Every Year. It's referring to the annual fund. And I'll tell you why that's important in a minute. Each year, if over the last 3 or 4 years, Rotarians around the world have contributed between $95 and $105 million into this fund. For discussion purposes this morning, let's just use $100 million each year as the example. So $100 million goes in 1 year. The following year, another $100 million goes in. The year after that, another $100 million goes in. So the annual fund is sitting on over $300 million. In fact, today, if you went to the annual report, you'd see there are $330 million here in the annual fund. Now, the next year that Rotarians contribute money to this, they put in another $100 million. This $100 million that was given is released for programs. So this comes out and is added to the $10 to $15 million from the permanent fund. And we have the sum of money that Rotary can spend on programs and matching grants and the like every day, all through the year. While this money is in the Rotary Foundation, it's earning interest. That interest pays for the administration of the entire foundation. So, it goes up here and covers the operational costs of running the foundation. And what that enables us to do is to put 100% of your gifts back to work into programs. This is a little unusual. Most nonprofits have overhead expenses. And so the typical overhead is 10 to 12%. And donors end up having 88 to 90% of their gift actually go towards programs. The Rotary Foundation is unique in that by allowing this money to be invested over 3 years and having the interest from those investments pay for the administration, we can turn 100% of every gift back into programs. That's unusual for any nonprofit, and it's one of the reasons why giving to the Rotary Foundation every year makes such good sense. Now, we've got $100 million and $110 to $15 million here. So about $115 million total going out to programs. And that's kind of neat. Can you imagine for a second what might happen if Rotary clubs in any particular year decided they weren't going to give to the foundation? And so the next year of funding doesn't show up. Down the road, that's that much money that we don't have for the programs of the foundation, and it means that Rotarians 2 and 3 years down the road have less to work with to do good in the world. This is one of the reasons why it is so important for Rotarians every single year to give into the Rotary Foundation so that we can keep this going. I grew up on a farm when I was a kid, and we had water to the house, but you couldn't drink it. If you wanted to drink it, you had to go out to the well and pump it. And for those of you that have ever pumped water from a well, you know that it's pretty hard at first until you get the water flowing. Once it starts flowing, it's pretty simple to keep it going. Once you stop, it takes a ton of energy to get it going again. Giving to the Rotary Foundation annual fund is just like pumping water from a well. We need to just stay at it with nice, consistent effort every year. And in doing so, we will provide the pipeline of funding that is needed to make the Rotary programs successful each year. I hope this quick overview is giving you a base that you can understand a little bit about how the foundation works, and then you can add to your Rotary knowledge by listening to other sessions. I hope this helps. Thank you for listening.